To make a decision, I use 7 concepts coming from the 7 words system. First of all, what are the facts of the matter? Collect all the information you can, including why you're making the decision, but not in terms of the word why so much as the words what, when, how. So what decision am I making? Am I making a decision about this or that? What's the scope of my decision? How am I making it? Am I making it alone, in consultation, with a partner also making the same decision with me? Who's making the decision? How will it be enacted when this decision is made? What will be the difference that makes the difference? How will I know? Will I sign something? Will I give money to somebody? Will I say something? What will I do in order that the decision is enacted? Make sure you know exactly all of that stuff before you actually get into the process of making the decision. Because if you don't know all of those facts of the matter kind of stuff, you don't know what you're doing. You simply don't know what it is that you're doing. It's not defined, and therefore it's airy-fairy, it's confusing, it's inevitably going to confuse you. So, when we know the scope of the decision and we're really clear about what decision we're making, very often it makes itself, actually. These 7 processes are not trivial, and they've been researched and tested and worked on for quite some time. They mean something. This is not just talking. This is what works. Now, the second decision is to do with optioneering. You keep your options open as long as you can to make the decision optimal. And that is because things change. You get more information. The weather changes. The financial climate changes. Sometimes we have overwhelming realities in the world like COVID. We keep our options open as long as we can. And then when the time comes, we close it down. We diminish our options bit by bit. So the second stage in our decision-making process is, what options do I have? List them all. Just list all of the options, and some of them will just fall away because they're absurd. So this is kind of brainstorming. What will I do with my life? Well, I might become an astronaut. Yeah. I might become a brain surgeon. Well, you know, you're in your 40s now. Don't you think it's a bit late to start? You know, some of them are just ridiculous. But if you put down all your options, you'll find that as you try and write them down, you can't, because they're absurd. So when you've got a list of reasonably kind of sensible options left, just check out what your heart is saying about all of this. Don't leave the heart out of your decision making. Don't make it only with your mind or your will or expediency. Allow the heart to say, and let it speak. And the question you can ask is, which of these decisions is the most likely to lead to harmony, to introduce more grace and beauty and love in my life? Which would the kids like best? Be soft as well. Just look at that. The fourth examination is whether it's worth the price. Everything that you do costs you something. Even if it's only lost opportunity, it's the price of the matter. So look at the cost-benefit analysis. See whether the benefit is worth the cost. That's important. And in business, that's the critical one. But we're not in business. We're living a different kind of life. And there will be benefits for all of your decisions. That's how life is. But there will be a cost for all of your decisions too. And just weigh them up. Just see how you feel about that, what you think about that, what consultants might tell you about that. Now, the fifth aspect of decision making is to consider the long term. Extend this decision into the future, a year, 5 years, 20 years. Just move it forward in your mind, and you will see some of the implications that you didn't look for before. It's almost certain when you plant apple seeds, then you're going to get apple trees. You certainly won't get pear trees. And some of our decisions probably will lead to this, but certainly will not lead to that. So the 6th consideration is about other people. Whatever you decide will impact other people. Consider them. Be considerate. Every decision you make will influence your partner, your kids, your parents perhaps, your friends, your co-workers, your boss. Everyone will be influenced by the major decisions in your life. And so to be considerate towards them is a point of information. It is furthering your depth of understanding of what it is you're doing. And if, for example, you get married and then you take on a really demanding career, do you think your marriage will not pay the consequences of that decision? Well, that's because you didn't think it through. Of course it will. Also, if you actually do something that influences somebody else, they're going to respond. And sometimes that response is an objection. And they might work against you. They might ardently work against you. You might be blocked. So if you can find a decision which doesn't interfere with somebody else's sense of what is right and good, it's a lot easier than if you actually confront somebody else's sense of what they want. Now the 7th mystery is to do with surrender, in a sense. Surrendering to greater forces. We're not unconnected to the major waves of life. Life has its own form of change, and things come up and things go down and things support this and prevent that. And every few years it changes in a big way, and every 10, 20, 30 years almost the fundamentals of life are rewritten. And to some extent, some significant extent, we just have to flow along with that. So if you can make your decisions in keeping with the general flow of things, that's likelier to work for you. It's likely to raise you up. Because if you're in alignment with the wave and the wave is rising, then you rise with it with no effort. So if you can actually determine the flow of things, then you're better off in your decisions. So having thoughts of all these 7 stages or considerations within decision making, by that time your mind and your heart will be talking to each other a bit better, and there'll be an alignment developing probably, and the decision will make itself known to you. Final test though, if you decide to do something like, I want that to happen, just imagine this little test. Just think you've got a fairy godmother, somebody whose wishes, your wishes can be granted. And just think, if your fairy godmother said to you, and if you wanted this, now, I could give it to you in a moment, would you take it? And if your answer is yes, immediately, and you grab it, then that's the right decision. If you say, well, maybe, yeah, I think so, that means no. You haven't worked it out fully yet. Maybe means no. So if you're doing anything in life and you're not sure that you're doing the right thing, that's a maybe. Something's wrong. Because when everything's right, your body knows it is. There's some mystery that the body knows. And the body says yes. It does not say maybe. So no means no. Maybe also means no. Yes is what you want. So if you cannot make a decision where yes is the right answer, yes is the only answer, if you can't find that decision, you haven't looked enough. You need to look more. You need to look at more options. you need to ask a few more people, you need to look more deeply, because if you don't find a yes direction in life, it will go wrong. No doubt about that at all. Find the yes.